Hello there, nice people. Today we are going to talk about refreshing your beeswax food wraps. Now, if you've been a fan of beeswax food wraps for a while and you've been using them regularly, you'll notice that after dozens of uses, they'll start to wear out. And how you notice that is you go to seal it with your hands, using the warmth of your hands, and it just doesn't quite stick anymore. So that means the wax is wearing out. And there's two common places where it wears out. Around the edges, because if you are using the edges to seal it, that's where it will start to wear out first. If you're a fan of scrubbing your beeswax wraps, which you don't always need to, but some people feel like they might, or if you get something sticky on there, it will tend to wear out in the middle. So those are the two areas. And you can feel the difference because the waxy side will feel stiffer and obviously a little bit tacky. The part that's worn out will feel more like just fabric. And that's where we know it needs attention. Now, if it's just a little bit worn out, you can try these tricks. So there's two different ways. One is not adding any extra beeswax blend at all, just refreshing what's on there. So one way to do that is a hairdryer. And all I'm going to do is heat the entire surface of my wrap. I can flip it over and do the same on the other side, not necessary though. And that's just going to refresh the beeswax blend that's on there and redistribute it. So I'm just going to do this for a few seconds. It is loud, I'm sorry about that. And then we'll see what it feels like. So it starts off, it's fairly stiff, and I'm going to show you what it feels like once I've used the magic hairdryer. And now you can see it's very, very soft, very warm. Don't forget to inhale. This is part aromatherapy. And I can feel that it's quite tacky. The best way to tell is just to use it. And if it adheres to itself, then you know it's refreshed. If, however, there isn't enough wax on there, if it's truly worn out, what you'll need is some more of the beeswax blend. Fortunately for you, we sell a Refresh Your Wrap kit. And what it has in it is 2 sheets of parchment paper, which I should have mentioned is a great non-stick surface to do your work on for beeswax wraps. And then a whole bunch of chips. And what these are a combination of beeswax, locally sourced, pine resin, which is what helps them with the stickiness, which is what you want in a wrap, and jojoba oil. And all I'm going to do is, I can feel the areas that need refreshing, so right in the middle here. I'm just going to put a tiny chip down, and I'm going to heat it. Now I don't need to heat the whole, I don't need to melt the entire piece. I only need a little bit of this. It goes a long way. So once it's melted a little bit, I can move it on to another area. So let me just do that with the hairdryer again. Now hopefully you can see here that it has started to melt. Not sure if you can pick that up, but that might be enough for that area, and I can pick up this piece. It is warm, so be careful, and just move it to another section. And I can keep doing that all around wherever I think it needs refreshing. It will infuse to the other side, so you don't have to worry about flipping it over and doing both sides. And that is the hairdryer method. So next we can do exactly the same thing with an iron. So in the Refresh Your Wraps kit, there are 2 pieces of parchment paper. So you can sandwich your wrap in between the 2 pieces. Very important to protect your iron from getting covered in beeswax. Don't ask me how I know. So the same thing, the first step is to try refreshing it just by heating the whole thing without adding any extra product. And very, very light touch with a medium iron. We don't want to actually push any wax off. We just want to melt what's on there and kind of give it a little swirl to redistribute it. And really this does refresh the wax that's on there and will move it around to the areas that might not have as much wax. And like I said, the best way to know if your wrap just needs this step is just to try it out. And if it does the job, then you're good to go for a few more uses. Now it is quite warm because you are dealing with melting wax, but you can see how soft and pliable it is here. That's because the wax is melted, and I've moved it around with the iron. So I'm going to let that cool. Make sure I inhale. And I'm going to see if that's good enough. And if it isn't, same process as the hairdryer. I'm going to put it inside the 2 pieces of parchment paper with a little bit of wax in the area that I think needs it. Lay the second piece on top. And again, I'm doing the second piece to protect the iron. Yes, this is a working iron. Yours won't look like this. And I can see the wax is melted. So what I can do in this case, I don't have to lift the piece up because it is melted. Use the side of the iron, not the point, because you will get a hole in your parchment paper, and just move that melted wax around. You see that it's just moving? Just gently, just play around, and it might just take a couple of these pieces to refresh the whole thing. Because it still has wax on it, it won't need to be completely re-waxed, so just a little bit will add a refresher. And do let it cool for a few seconds before you lift it up, because it is hot melted wax. And there you go. Basically, you have a brand new wrap. And next, I'm going to show you the oven method. So here we are in the kitchen, ready to refresh our wraps. And I've heated the oven basically as low as it will go. This one does take a little bit of patience. What I've got here is a cookie sheet and my parchment paper, again, to protect my work surface, and my wrap. So just like the other 2 methods, the first step will be to put it in the oven and just let the whole thing soften and see if that's a good enough first step without adding any more product. So we can do that for a few minutes. Just put it in middle of the oven. Like I said, as low as it will go, leave it for a few minutes and hope that that's a good enough fix for a few more uses. If you do need to proceed to the next step, exactly the same process as the hairdryer. You take some of the chips, put them down, heat that up in the oven. This is where it does take a little more patience because it may take a few more minutes than with the hairdryer. And then move the pieces around. I find using a tiny piece of the parchment to spread it around is a lot better than getting my fingers all sticky. And basically you move it around the areas that you need it, and you have a refreshed beeswax food wrap that is ready for dozens and dozens more uses. In the next video, we're going to talk about ways to repurpose your beeswax wrap once it truly has reached the end of its life. Lots of great uses. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching.